we have studied about exploration, Arctic exploration. Now we will look at some of the old and new navigation tools. In the 18th and 19th century, there are various instruments that were used. First one is astrolabe. So this astrolabe is generally used for measuring the angle between celestial bodies like a sun or stars and the horizon, primarily for navigation. This is the old one. But in the current world, what we are using is we are using GPS, that is Global Positioning System, or digital sextant is being used for the same purpose. Sextant is the normal one which 18th or 19th century people had used. Here, the navigation instrument is used to measure the angle between two visible objects, especially the horizon and the celestial body. And this is now being replaced by digital sextant or inertial navigation systems. And similarly, the compass which was used earlier to find out the cardinal direction has been replaced by the digital compass or magnetometers. Telescope, as all of you know, had been used for identifying the distant objects such as stars, ships, or land formation. Now we use a digital telescope, or even with a smartphone with optical zoom is being used. But the smartphone with optical zoom cannot be used for very long distances. But maybe for a few kilometers or so, we can actually see that. Chronometer was another instrument which was used earlier. So this is a highly accurate timekeeping device which were generally used to see the to determine from which place, which longitude people are there by comparing the local time with the Greenwich Mean Time. So for comparison between the longitude at which they are there and the Greenwich Mean Time, this chronometer was used. Currently we use atomic clock or GPS based systems. And when we want to look at the weather instruments or recording or mapping instruments, barometer was one of the weather instrument that was used. It is used to measure the atmospheric pressure. Currently we use the digital barometer or altimeters. Thermometer, as all of you know, had been used to measure the temperature. Currently we use digital thermometer, or even infrared thermometers are being used. Hygrometer was used for measuring humidity, because this is very important to understand the climate and weather conditions. Currently we use digital hygrometers. When we look at recording and mapping, because for navigation, map is a important thing which helps the people to navigate. So people generally used maps or charts. These are hand-drawn or printed maps were used in the olden days, but currently we use digital maps, especially Google Maps or ArcGIS, or even navigation softwares are being used. Lunar tables are also used to find out where the people are there. So this helped the people to determine the longitude by comparing the moon's position with specific star position at a given time, because the North Star is clearly visible. So this had been used quite often by the people who are traversing the Arctic region. Currently we use GPS navigation systems or astronomical softwares. Field notebook was generally used to record observations, and people used to even draw sketches about the mountains and rivers where they were going. And they also took notes during the expeditions. These are handwritten one. Currently we use digital note-taking applications like Evernote, OneNote or similar softwares. And of course, a man cannot be traveling or exploring without tools. So there were various different tools had been used by the people. One is for surveying, another one for day-to-day activities. For the surveying, theodolite was the one which was used earlier. This instrument was used for measuring the horizontal and vertical angles in surveying and navigation. Today we use laser distance measurers. Crossstaff was another one people used, which was used to measure the altitude of celestial bodies for navigation. Currently we use celestial navigation softwares or digital sextant for the same purpose. And the tools, as all of you know, can be used like a rope and tackle, ice axes, mache, sledges, camper's kit like a sleeping bag or tents or whips. These are the various things which are being used as tools by the people. So the rope was used for climbing or carrying supplies or rigging, and currently also we use the same thing. Ice axes were used for cutting the ice or traversing through the ice. Here currently we use ice axe or Crampton or ice tools are being used, and especially the one thing which was missing currently is the sledges and dog sleds, because these are currently not being used. These are replaced by snowmobiles or all-terrain vehicles. Similarly, the whip which was used for managing the animals such as horse or dogs is now replaced because we do not have the dog or sledges currently being used. So that's the reason there is no need of whip currently. And of course, shelters are similar. In olden days also people used tents and sleep bags, and currently also we use the tents and sleep bags. And of course, people wanted to know how healthy they are, so they use some self-monitoring or protection things. For example, snow goggles were used to protect their eyes, and currently we use polarized sunglasses or snow goggles. And a pedometer was a device that was used to measure the number of steps a person had walked or the distance traveled. So currently we use GPS based pedometers or fitness tracker. And of course, people used to log how much speed they were actually traveling. Currently we use GPS based speed log or electronic speed logs. And of course, we have been living in an era where GPS and satellites are abundant. So in olden days, people were not having GPS or satellite things. So that's the one of the major advantage or the technological innovation which is currently helping modern explorations in the entire world. So why people use GPS? Of course, satellite is the most important one. We can call that satellite as an important technological innovation, but people cannot carry satellites, and the number of satellites are also limited. So that's the reason GPS is wide and everybody can use GPS. And that's the reason, even though satellite is the main technological innovation, the GPS is the one which actually is directly helping the people in the field. GPS helps in accurate navigation because it is very precise, and it has a global coverage, and we can also do route planning using GPS. And when we talk about safety and risk reduction, we can actually do a real-time tracking where we are actually moving, and it's very easy for the emergency response. If somebody is having some problem, they can immediately inform. So this GPS tracking device helps us in these kind of situations. Mapping and cartography had been completely improved currently because we have the digital maps, and geospatial data are currently available. So anybody can access this data. And remote and extreme environment, when the people are traveling, especially in the polar region or underwater exploration or even space exploration, GPS helps a lot. So how does GPS help is basically it doesn't require any physical infrastructure, like unlike a mobile phone where we need a cell tower or Wi-Fi network to have the connectivity. GPS is directly connected to the satellite, so that's the reason we do not need any physical infrastructure to use GPS. And this can be used for the data collection and communication because we can integrate sensors on the GPS device and it can be connected to the satellite. So it can also be used for the wireless communication, and GPS actually uses an efficient resource management. So this is one of the best advantage what we can talk about GPS. We can actually optimize our routes using GPS, and we can also make many other things automated. And as I mentioned, there is no physical infrastructure required. So these are all the various advantages of GPS. So that's the reason this is one of the most important technological innovation which helps the exploration in the current scenario. Let us look at some of the places named after famous Arctic explorers. We are mainly restricting ourselves to explorers because many places in the entire world had been named after various people. So we will just look at the people who had actually done exploration in the Arctic region. Amundsen Sea is named after Roald Amundsen. This place is actually in Antarctica, but rest of the places are mainly in the Arctic region. Bering Sea, Bering Strait is named after Vitus Bering. Franklin Bay, Franklin Strait are named after Sir John Franklin. Frobisher Bay is named after Martin Frobisher. Cook Inlet is named after Captain James Cook. Inglefield Gulf is named after Captain Sir Edward Inglefield. Nansen Sound and Mount Nansen are named after Fridtjof Nansen. Peary Channel and Mount Peary are named after Robert Peary. Ross Sea is named after Sir James Clark Ross. King William Island was named after Prince William's Duke of Cambridge. Similarly, there are various sea river names which are named after explorers, mainly the Arctic region we will be looking at. Davis Strait was named after John Davis. Hudson Bay was named after Henry Hudson. Of course, there is a Hudson River in New York also. Baffin Bay was named after William Baffin. The Mackenzie River in Canada was named after Alexander Mackenzie. Parry Channel was named after William Edward Parry. Barents had couple of names. The Murmeen Sea was actually renamed as Barents Sea. And similarly, there is a second largest settlement in Svalbard, which is also named after Barents. Similarly, the place Labrador was named after Fernando Lavrador, a Portuguese explorer. So these are all the various explorers name which were given to many places, maybe sea, river, or even the place.